my camera has more color than usual. Maybe it's just lighting. My skin's like pink. But anyway, yeah, back on programming language stuff, of course. As I said, I really can't do much else until I finish that, so that's what I'm doing. Yeah, so I got a few things real quick, so I don't like dox myself. Right, so I did share this in the Discord server, and like the programming language development Discord server, and I got some feedback. I mean, actually, the main feedback was about the syntax, really. But you know, I mean, that's what I asked for. But also about the type model, let's say. So first of all, as expected, people don't gel with the @ sign used for types. At this point, I'm honestly considering what it would look like if you just didn't have anything at all. So obviously you'd lose the @ equals or whatever, which is fairly significant. But if I didn't have it as well, I could just do x u32 equals 5, x var equals 5, u32, x equals 8. Okay, well, that was already there, I guess. Function, which we'll call, let's call it f function from u32 to u32. Function var equals a function which takes anonymous a, which is type u32, anonymous b, type u32, to u32. I would keep the arrow, I think. You could argue you don't need the arrow, but I feel like it just helps with the visual separation. So I kind of like it. But you could argue to move it, I don't know, plus b. F equals func a b minus b, that's the same. F equals a function with anonymous a, u32, anonymous b, 32, 2, 32, c equals b times 5, a plus c, right? So this is the difference here then. It looks like it's noisy, that's for sure, but like I feel like that's fine, right? Especially because type names they are enforced to start with a capital letter, whereas variable names and function names are forced to not start with a capital letter. I feel like this works fine. The only way it doesn't work is if I'm defining a struct. So right now, like for example, if I want to create a struct, right, and my struct is called like, I don't know, circle, and that it derives shape, then it would look like this. So circle equals shape. No, type, sorry. Yeah, so first of all you have this, right? So circle equals type like this, and then you put like whatever the information is after that. But if I want to make it explicit, I would say circle is of type, which I guess is fine in this instance, simply because type would be a keyword, so it would be highlighted. I suppose that's not too bad, is it? Circle type. Yeah, and plus, like, even without the capitalization rules, you still have a space between it. And yeah, I never really understood why there's even a colon in the first place for a lot of these languages. Like, I don't know why Rust does let let x u32 like this equals 5, as opposed to just let x u32 equals 5. Because like if you look at C and like C++, like that style would just be u32x equals 5, and the only real reason that we have switched these around is because of parsing. It's just like it's easier for the compiler to parse it, or parse I guess, if it is backwards. Like I don't know when this became something that was wanted, and I don't really know what it does for the language really, because I have no issue reading C++ code. Even though I do prefer trailing return types, it doesn't give me, like, having that specifically doesn't get in my way. However, what we do lose is a declare, right? So now, like if I have c equals b times 5, right, like I do here, before it would be like this, or in another language maybe be like this, right? So it was clear that I am assigning, right? Defining, let's say. But now with this, there's no indication of either type inference or the fact that I'm declaring. So that's not good. I like that if you want to put the type, you like if it like I like how when you have a symbol there, it's it's clear whether you're inferring type and assigning or whether you're just reassigning. So if I have C, so before it'd be like what C, let's say it's U32, and it equals B times 5, right? And then if I wanted to infer instead, I do that equals B times 5, right? And then for reassignment, again, C equals B times 5. Now, what I have is C U32 equals B times 5, that's fine. But then C equals B times 5 for inference, not so good. And C equals B times 5 for assignment, also not so good. And we're in Python. Is it Python actually? Does Python have a var keyword? I can't remember now. I believe there's some languages that don't require you anyway to do that. But I just feel like it's not clean that way, you know? So that's that. So I think realistically there has to be some symbol just to separate this. Of course you could have a keyword instead. So like if I had a decal keyword or something, or like a var const kind of setup. Let's suppose that I had var and const. Right, so I'd have a var. The thing is, I don't like var and const. Well, do I like var and const? Not really. Like I do like the Rust model of having let by default, then let mute additionally, as opposed to having a const keyword. I mean, Rust does as well, but that's a different thing. Like rather than having an immutable and mutable keyword, it just has mute, right? And then if it's not there, then it's just that. So you'd have like a let's see, and now it's looking a lot like Rust, right? So this is declaration, and this is reassignment. So you could do that, right? Or just don't. So other options, I did consider having types require the at before it to assign a type, but that's kind of weird. Of course, you could just have to see this, but the reason, and I don't know why I haven't said this yet, the reason I don't want to do this is because it mixes it up. It mixes up colons with these, right? Like colons are here, and I know it's fine, but I don't like reusing the same symbols for different things. So I don't want to have a colon here and have a colon here as well. So I don't want a colon. Now, of course, I don't have to use a colon here. Someone did suggest I use an arrow instead. They said a single arrow, but I would use a double arrow. Yeah, so have a double arrow instead of the colon, which is an option, but like I just find it just looks weird. Like if I have an if statement, I'll delete this now. If I have an if statement, it means that if I have like if, so let's say if a is 3, like usually it'd be like this, right? Then print, right? Else print no, right? Suddenly this becomes like this. If a is 3, then like that, print yp, else print no. And I just find that looks really weird. Like, it's fine if you're having it on one line, but if you're not having it on one line, it just looks weird. And then like I feel inclined to do this instead, but that creates issues, because like what if I have multiple lines then it just looks even weirder. So I'm not a fan of that. Of course, another option is to have if then. So have then replace it instead as a keyword. But I don't like if then. I think it just looks verbose. And like yeah, I just don't like how it looks, having a whole keyword to say then, because then you have to do it like in other contexts too, or I guess more realistically it would be do. Right? I guess a bit like Haskell. So then like if I have a function as well, that's like I don't know, a function add, right? And here I use colon equals a function anonymous a u32 anonymous, sorry, be a colon u32 in this case, anonymous b u32, right? And then it's gonna be like do. Like suppose I have this, right? Also, like, for this as well, like, where does var go? Does var go here? Or does it go here? Like, does it go before or after the thing? Because, like, if it goes before... And, like, does the anonymous go here or afterwards? Like, if I didn't have this, it looks like this. But if I did, it looks like that. Like, I'm not really sure. But anyway. So then here I would do instead, right? Instead of this. Which I feel like, again, like, I'm just not... I'm not a fan. I don't want to do... Like, because I feel like a colon is just natural. Like, just natural. A colon for types is not natural. I don't know why a colon is used for types. It seems kind of strange and random. And I feel like this is just more fitting for that use. Of course, this is, you know, this is highly subjective anyway, but I'm just thinking. Because, like, I don't really care about convention as much as I care about things just kind of fitting nicely. So, the reason I use at is because if you... Well, first of all, I wanted to have a good reason to use at in a language for ages that isn't like in other like in other languages. I'm finding that at is used for like built-in functions, for instance, like in Zig, right? Or like at is used for like reflection, maybe, or at is used for like properties. Like I've always found that a bit weird how at is just used for that. It doesn't really fit. I feel like at should mean at. So one thing I considered was using it for like pointers and stuff. But in this case, if you were to read it backwards, it would be like there is a U32 at C, right? So it reads backwards, but that's only because of how, again, parsing works. Ideally for English, it'd be, we have a U32 at C, right? Equals B times 5. And this would work, but well, actually, if it was this way, then you don't have the nice type inference again. So like it would be C at equals. But then it's like, why is it before then, but not after, like in other cases? But like this is how you would read it in English, is what I'm trying to say. There's U32 at C, which equals B times 5, right? But if we go backwards, then we get this instead. So we say at C, so at C, there's a U32, which equals B times 5. So C at, there is U32. Like it's, I mean, it's hard to explain, but like just think of like a language where the grammar is backwards, right? Like a human language. Like I don't know, like there probably is one like this, to be fair, where it's like C at, so C at, you know, like instead of at C, we say C at U32. Like, so C at, there is a U32, which equals B times 5. Like something like that. I know it's still weird to have an at there, but like my point is, like, you can get around it and like make sense of it, and ultimately it's not much harder to type. I mean, on my keyboard, which I think is British, the at sign is actually next to the colon, so like, the fuck, so like here's my colon, and then just type at, I just have to be like move my finger one thing to the right, so it's not harder to type, it just looks unusual, which I think is people's issue with it. And like another argument is how big it looks as well. Like it's just really big, right? Like at equals, like compare that size to just having a colon equals. Like it is arguably less visually distracting than having at equals, because at is so tall. At least in this font anyway. I think in other fonts it might even be a bit shorter, but actually I'm kind of curious now. How does it look in other fonts? On Discord, for instance. Go to this server. If I type C at, no, it's tall here as well. Does it use the same font? I think it's the same font, isn't it? Yeah, it is. It is the same font, just without ligatures, for some reason. Okay, that's not helpful. How about like just a normal font then? But then like it's not monospace, is it? No. I don't know, whatever. Like my point is, you could make it smaller as well if you wanted to. It just happens to be tall for some reason. I guess because like typically it's used for emails. Like if I typed Kojo Bailey at gmail.com. Maybe. I will say it also doesn't help that the that the syntax highlighting doesn't make it any better because it's not treating it as an operator, so it's like this is white when it shouldn't be, but whatever. Now, personally, like, I don't really, like, it looks weird if you're used to seeing something else there. Like, that's kind of how I think about it. Like, would a hashtag look more natural? No. A colon does, but again, that's because we're used to seeing it in that context, right? We're used to seeing colons in general in programming. We're not very used to seeing @ like at all. But like, quite frankly, there just aren't really any other keys on the keyboard. You could use a semicolon for the record. You could use a semicolon instead. That is a consideration. But I do feel like semicolons as well just don't really have enough visual distinction from a colon. But I don't know, man. So if you use a semicolon, it would look like this. So you have C, and I say we just use it like we did with other things, right? Equals B times 5. I would enforce a space, to be honest, and then C colon semicolon equals B times 5. C equals B times 5. And that works. Is it better? Right? I don't know. Where does the comma go? Semicolon go? I do wonder. Like, pick your poison. Let's well, yeah, I guess this is an option, but I don't want to have it because it just has a few limitations. Like, I don't know. Or then if I had the normal one that we're all used to, it's like this. Notice how this is compressed, by the way, because of, again, the font. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I could reorder these as well. I'm just gonna say that this one isn't an option, because again, I want to use the colon for like an actual colon, right? Like, what you would expect a colon to be for is that, like, it starts like a list, right? That's what I want it to represent. I don't want it to, like, to start something. I don't want it to represent a type. So this is one option. Another option, let's have other signs too, so we can have $, for instance, U32. Although I probably won't do that because I think $, would be used for formatting expressions. Doesn't have to, but that feels like, well, that's what we're used to in that case. And if you didn't, like, let's say I had I don't know, print my name and then like your name here, right? So this is how I would do it now. So if you didn't have a $, I mean, obviously you could like reuse it here, but not a good option, not a good idea. Instead, what can you do? You could do an @, my name @name. You could do hashtag. Oops, my name #name. Honestly, hashtag looks pretty good in that sense too. Hash, sorry, not hashtag. Hash is pretty good. I wonder what else a hash can be used for though in general. But like instead of $, right? I'm surprised this isn't a ligature, by the way. A $, just looks nice because of how the S curves around it in a way that like other characters just don't. You could also, you know, go European and force having a euros instead, or pounds. But alas, not all keyboards support that. But all keyboards do support $, for tragic reasons. So let's say that $, is an option. Also hashtag, again, just hash, sorry, hash, U32 equals B times 5. C hashtag equals b times 5, c equals b times 5. Now hash is cool because like it's like you're tagging it, right? You're tagging C as a U32. So C is tagged as a U32. So typing is like tagging. And then even actually for like var and stuff, maybe var should go afterwards, like here, even U32 var to say it's variable instead, or mute, or like whatever you want. And then comp time as well, or comp var. Definitely worth considering. So tag, yeah. So from these, a semicolon doesn't seem to work very well. Like when I think about how semicolon is used in writing, whether it be English, well, I mean mostly English, but I guess other languages also have semicolons for similar uses. I think of an aside, right? Like a bit like a dash, to the point where I would even consider having a semicolon be for like comments. Although I feel like a slash just works better for that. Or a dash, sorry. Like Lua has these for comments, right? As opposed to like a double slash. Or like OCaml comments, parentheses, I think also looks really good. Semicolon though, I'm not a huge fan of that. You could also use, by the way, you could use double. So like what Haskell does, and I think some other languages too, use double for type. So then type inference would be like this. And then you have C equals b times 5. I'm going to remove this last option because it's not really doing anything. Actually, no, it is, because it gives you a comparison when it's not there. So here's another option. You could even go double semicolon, but like why go double if you don't even have one in the first place? But yeah, like for semicolon, like what do I think of? I think of like, my name is Kojo, my last name is Bailey. Like that'd be a semicolon. It's a way to connect two sentences, but like convey that they are connected, right? So if I had, like for that reason, actually, the way, like the fact that we use semicolons in like C and stuff is actually really good. Like it is generally like a really good idiomatic use of it. Like to show like that, like you're ending the line and then continuing it next, and then I guess you can optionally have one at the end as well. But since we have new lines for that, we don't need that. So yeah, I don't know. Is this the death of the semicolon? Like it has no use in my language so far, and I wouldn't know how to use it. But this just doesn't hold any meaning. This as well has no meaning, and it's kind of just a bit annoying that you have to type double thingy as opposed to just like one symbol. So that's the disadvantages of that. However familiar it may seem to some people. At sign works pretty well because of the at C there's a U32. I like that meaning of it. Downside is just that it's really fucking big. Let me see it on a different font again, but like a different font, like properly. So coding, fuck's sake, coding fonts preview. To close my blinds here because my light's going crazy. Test drive. Yikes. Okay, so let's take this same list. Any other symbols though? But yeah, anyway, so let me finish my thought. So at sign is pretty good, but it just looks big. Dollar sign doesn't hold any semantic meaning. C money U32, like what? I feel like a dollar sign should just be used for, I mean really, I don't even really want a dollar sign anyway in my language, because like a dollar sign isn't a guaranteed currency symbol on all keyboards. That's true, I believe. I think some keyboards actually just don't have a dollar sign, they only come with a euro sign in some countries. So that's something. And like even if that isn't the case, I don't like how we're using dollar signs when we can be using other symbol currencies too. So boo. So I'm gonna delete that. Am I? Yeah, I'm gonna delete that. That one I'm not gonna consider as an option. Hashtag similar to at works pretty well. So at would be there is U32 at C. For this one, it is C is tagged as a U32. So like you can read it more left to right for English anyway, which is pretty cool. Downside is that similar to at is also quite big, but I will admit it is less visually distracting, and there's also a very easy ligature that can be derived from hashtag equals, which like you just connect it. I don't know why there isn't one. Well, I guess because no language has that. But like if you look at like look at how here it's very small, but like the hashtag just extends into the bracket. Just have that but for equals, right? And like it would look pretty perfect. Unfortunately, I can't seem to simulate that, but you can imagine, right? You can imagine. Maybe Google has it. Hashtag equals ligature. What? Okay, hash equals. Hash equals symbol. Okay, well, whatever. The point is, it's possible, right? Other symbols then. Quotation marks are reserved for string. Exclamation mark is not used in my language, but for the question mark and an exclamation mark, I have other uses for it, I think. Oh yeah, also exclamation mark equals is not like does this on ligatures, which is annoying. And while I could just require that fonts don't do this, it means that other languages then can't have that, which is annoying for the user. So yeah, I'd rather not use an exclamation mark. Question mark could work fine, but again, I want to use question marks for like error handling. I'm not sure how yet, but I want to reserve it. And plus, like C question mark U32 equals B times 5 just doesn't look very right. It's like C, huh? U32, huh? Like what? Why are we doing that? Doesn't make sense. Percent sign depends whether I have a modulo operator, but I think I will. Not to have modulo, but specifically to have wrapping. I want to have a wrapping operators like Zig does. I think it's a really cool feature. A lot of people call it ugly, but I think it is in fact quite useful, especially with my language in mind. Because is this even correct? 258, 255. 255. No, it'd be plus 256. Yeah. Yeah, I want to have it. Wait, sorry, is it plus? Is it that or is it this? I'm gonna assume it's this, and then you can have boom, 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 which makes more sense, yeah. So yeah, so because I want to have that, I'm not gonna consider the percent sign. The caret, I don't know how to use for this yet. I mean, it means XOR, right? But I'd rather just have an XOR keyword. So U32 equals B times 5. Like what? Like C to the power of U32? C raised to U32? Like, it looks like an up arrow. If anything, I'll just have this be a power operator, right? So 2 to the power of 3. Issue there, though, is that there are different kinds of powers, right? Is that even true? Not really, actually. So yeah, I guess I could just have it be a power operator. But like, I don't want to add too many mathematical symbols anyway. But maybe powering is, often enough that it's worth it. Maybe. But assuming we don't, we have this, this, which has a ligature because of XOR again. And we have this. It's an option. It's an option. I'll give it that. Also, I'm still thinking, like, does the type go on it or after it? I feel like after it has to make sense because the type isn't prefixed by that. It just happens that you put it there in that instance. So there's one option, sure, another one. Another one that I have is the and sign. I don't use it for anything right now, but I do want to use it for this because I want to, again, reserve it for, like, address of. I know, like, it doesn't make sense for address anyway because, like, it's an and sign, but, like, I genuinely don't know what other symbol would be used for address of, like maybe the at symbol, but that doesn't make sense because that says like at 5 as opposed to the address of 5. At is more like a dereferencing, if anything, so I'll probably just not have this. Also, if I'd use it as and instead of an address symbol, I also prefer that. I would like to allow and be used in variable names, or like something for like function composition, like just something that isn't this. Like C and U32 just doesn't make sense. For the record, I have the and keyword rather than the symbol, so that's not a consideration either. I just realized I don't know why I'm writing these out. I just copy paste it. Times is times. In fact, I'll probably use a caret for pointers, so also keep that in mind. Tilde? Maybe it's an option, it just looks kind of weird, doesn't it? So tilde, yeah. Not much to say about that, really. Tilde is a tilde. C, which is the U32. But, like, C means, like, maybe. So, again, like, I don't know why that would be there. Like, C, maybe 32. Like, that doesn't make sense. No. Negation, no. Pipe symbol is another potential option, to be fair. But I would rather preserve piping for, like, actual separation. This just doesn't really like a listing of sorts. This just doesn't like hit. Like, I want something that kind of indicates a link between the type and the thing. This just looks like a barrier, so I don't like that. Comma would be used for lists as well, potentially, but even if not, I don't know why you put a comma between those. That doesn't make sense anyway. And that's it. That's literally all the symbols on my keyboard that I could use. I guess it's also this one. This one? Oh, yeah, I did it right. Okay, I don't know why it's a pipe, but my thing is the pipe with like a line in the middle. On this keyboard, it seems to be the same fucking thing. Also backslash, I guess, as a last shout out. It's an option, but again, like, backslashing should be used for escaping strings, so. And then this, but we've already discussed why I don't want that. You could do, like, double equals to type inference, but that's not even, like, clear anyway, so. Yeah. So I think that's it. I don't think there are any other symbols I could use. So it comes down to these. And as I said before, this one I'm going to rule out just because it's two things. And this one I would want to reserve for pointers. I think this being used for pointers makes more sense. And I don't want to have that be used here. Or powering. Like, one or the other, probably not that. So it comes down to these then. Semicolon doesn't make sense, so I'm going to rule this one out now, honestly. And therefore, it comes down to these two. The two symbols that, for some reason, throughout programming history, or at least since C, have not had any like really great use. Like, hashtag has had decent use with macros in Rust, right? And it looks, I mean, it looks good because it's of the ligature. But, like, I'm not sure how necessary that is. So, yeah. I mean, right now I don't have a use for these kind of macro things anyway in my language. And again, like, you could use any symbol here. You don't have to use a hashtag anyway. So I'm not too like I'm not holding on to that in particular. So both these are free reign, really. And now I'm leaning towards the hashtag simply because of the hashtag equals thing. Also the way it reads, to be fair, like tag, right? These are tags on C, and I also like that more than I like the at. Plus, at could see a comeback in, again, dereferencing, depending on how that works in my language. So let's just check these out here. Let's zoom in as well, so I can actually have a look. Tragically, it's treating them as comments, which is not what I wanted. Oh, cool. This language actually has a ligature for it. Why the fuck is it not going... Okay. Yeah, this language has ligature for hashtag equals. So there you go. That's literally perfect. Let me zoom out a bit more, actually. That's a bit too big. It should be like a realistic size. Okay, can I change the fucking syntax highlighting, though? It's on Python. Let's go to Lua. There is no Lua. Okay. CSS. Whoa, just deleted everything. Is there a language that has like... What's going on? There's any spaces? Okay. Yeah, let me put some like code around it, so it's a bit more realistic. Foo bar. I don't know if like do some task. My args, my second arg. Print. What's print line? Okay, anyway. I see like a good language here, bro. I think Go is pretty decent. Oops. No, that's not the syntax highlighting at all. JavaScript. Nope. For some reason it does at equals and this, but it doesn't do this. It's kind of annoying. But it is the closest so far. PHP. Sick. Ruby. Hell no. Shell? What? No. ASCII arts? I don't know what that's even meant to be, bro. See, like. No. Haskell. No. Lisp. I mean, I'm just praying at this point. Pascal. I think I passed Clojure. Perl. I think we started with that. R is not any better. Rust. Swift. XML. Sick. Okay, well that's not great. Let's just go with none then. And let's see. So I like this because it has the hashtag equals ligature. And here we can see at is still fairly big though. But yeah, the hashtag just looks nice, doesn't it? Like I almost have to like look to find it because I don't immediately see it, which is decently useful. With the @ sign, it sticks out like a sore thumb. So let's go through these fonts here. Please don't change the font size each time. It doesn't. Okay. So that's unreadable anyway. Yeah, again, the hashtag just blends in really well. I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I'm going to assume it's a good thing. This is a cool font. I wouldn't use it, but like if it had ligatures, I actually might consider it. That's actually pretty cool. Mind you, some of these letters are a bit hard to read. Again, at is just really big. I don't know why everyone makes at so fucking tall. But in a language like this that looks very like uniform, Again, the hashtag just blends in. Let me add the other one, the colon, just as like a point of comparison. To be fair, it's not the easiest anyway. Like, it's not the most accurate comparisons because I'm not used to this at all. I'm like semi used to this now, but I'm also like very used to this. So I feel like my eyes will just pick this up better anyway. This one, my eyes are literally just not seeing the hashtag, and I think that's just because it blends in really well. Like, it looks like any other symbol almost. It's kind of freaky. This one's cool. This one's quite handy actually. In this one, both hashtag and at are like really big, so they do stand out. And here at does stand out, so I do like that actually. How both of them stand out. Oh, the hashtag sorry stands out in this one. Let me find JetBrains. Yeah, and JetBrains, the hashtag definitely stands out more than the other language I did from the asterisk. But the at is just way too big. Can I have a Liga font? There's only one. Oh shit. Nerd? No? How about popularity? Let's go back in time here. Look. Here, the at is just a normal fucking size. IBM. Possibly because it's not even recognized as an actual character by the font. Is it? I can't tell. Yeah, no, definitely not. So that doesn't count then. But like, see how like when it's smaller, it doesn't look anywhere near as egregious. Like here, it blends in way more well. But that's because it's not like super tall. So like I do like it here. Same here. Because all the heights are pretty uniform, this actually looks a lot better now. Again, the at sign. But I don't know. Anyway, I think I've made up my mind. EPL. No, that's the language. Before, what was that one font? Was it source code? No. It was one of the first languages to have ligatures. Oh, that's right, Fira. Or like at least like good ligatures. This one, was it Fira? I can't remember now. Fira code, that was it. This one doesn't ligatures yet. Just not hashtag equals, unfortunately. Like here, like again, because they removed the bottom of the at, it doesn't look too egregious. Like it's all like egregiously like stretched out. Because I feel like that's why the at stands out otherwise. But anyway, I think I made up my mind. It does have it. Yeah, I think I made up my mind. I like the hashtag for how it reads. I also just like saving at for another use. I feel like at has a better use in which it can thrive. And like truly mean at. Like dereferencing or something. I do not feel like hashtag has much of a better use in this. I feel like this like really fits. So let me rewrite some of my code examples then, using hashtag, and see how that ends up looking. So is it this, right? I mean, I guess I could do a search and replace, but I do not know how to localize that. So if I all of these with hashtag. Start becomes hashtag equals proc. Oh yeah, so the reason that var needs to be before here, actually, I just remembered, is because of the type inference again. Like, you have to put it here or else this doesn't work. Unless you want to like argue for putting it here, and then it's just like inferred. But that's really weird. You can also make it like an explicit auto, like an auto type. But that's just not. I don't like putting auto everywhere. Yeah. So let me go back to Discord. Back to this channel. Was it Lua I used? I can't remember what language I used for this. Python. Seriously? Oh shit, I can't do that because of fucking highlighting. Woo! Go. Behold the hashtag. Yeah, I like the hashtag. It's growing on me. And as I get more used to it, it grows on me more. Which means other people can of course get used to it as well. Like, more anything will look weird the first time you try it. It's just, it takes time. And over time it looks better. I like it. So let me do a switch to place here. What the fuck? How's that happening? I don't understand. Like, my keyboard tweaking out sometimes, man. Find all, alt, enter. Okay. Can I replace? I assume Control Shift R will just refresh. No. How do I find and replace? Have a look. Keybinds, hotkeys. Search for find. Sorry, replace. It's not in use. Control F. Control R. Why isn't Control R for that then? So yeah, so replace. Should be Control R. And press Control H. What the fuck? Oh, that's default. Right. No, go back. Fuck. No. Shit. What did I just replace with that? Oh, for fuck's sake. This is so annoying. Replace. And it's so laggy too. My God, bro. My computer. I mean, I'm streaming OBS on like a ThinkPad. That's not surprising. But I need to get a better computer. On God. Add. Control R. Okay. So Control R. At. With hashtag. We'll go in order here. I mean, I don't have any uses of it anyway that aren't like this, but just in case. Right. I like how it's highlighted as an actual key as well, as an actual operator, which is pretty useful, just for the sake of seeing stuff with syntax highlighting. So X hashtag any type. There's an interesting discussion going on here about named arguments and being able to arbitrarily determine their order. I don't think that there's an issue with having different order. Like, you can argue that, it leads to unpredictable code, like ununiform code. But that's fine, because like function calls are not uniform anyway. Like, you have different arguments each time, so changing the order doesn't really matter. That's a question of like, how do you order it? Like, what is the guideline for your company or whatever? Let me think. Also for like optional arguments, right? Like ones with defaults. If you can change, if you can put your things in any order, that also means you can skip ones, which is pretty handy. Yeah. The order of named arguments. Yeah, I got a ping. Let me just start sharing my screen for a second so I can actually like use Discord. And it's not like leak. Okay, still lagging anyway. Yeah, function arguments can be evaluated, right? Then, if your function parameters are order dependent, it's a question for structs. I mean, structs. No, because in structs you have a constructor in my case, which is a function. So I guess not. A constructor is a function, right? No, not necessarily. I mean, I don't know. It is as much as a function as the equals assignment operator is a function, I guess. So it's just a way for you to list stuff. I don't know. Okay, go with hashtag then. That makes me feel a bit better. So now the other criticism was the type system. So my language doesn't have traits, except it does. So traits are types. So where's my integral answer? So see, I have this, right? There's a reason that this doesn't work, and I forgot what it was. Let me just find the thing real quick, rather than just try to guess it. If you remember the order of arguments, it's true. What the fuck? How's that a skull? That's right. So my solution was, it makes more sense to just call, instead of integral, to have type integer, right? Where x is any type. For any type, I can even just have it be like this, which says any type, and then require that x is addable, subtractable, multipliable, got the names, but like basically all of these, right? So then an integer is anything that has all of these traits. But also U32, U64, big int. What's the actual issue? The bound just says that x is constructible from a big int. So if I have a u32, because u32 can implicitly convert to a big int, then it is an integer. That is kind of what this says, right? Now there's an issue here, which is that we get that 3u8 is a big int. This is true. Even though it's not actually a big int, it's just that it can be a big int. And that's a problem. So maybe have like a is can big int, or like is from big int, like is possibly big int. Like have something, some kind of distinction, so that you can check hard equality, is it a big int, versus like is it convertible. I guess in that sense it's like JavaScript, right? Like JavaScript has equals and double and triple equals, where double equals is just like is it convertible, I think. So like strings are things, and then triple equals is like stricter, right? Like type equality. Because even if you did like type of this, you would still get that being fine, because u8 is convertible to big int, right? And then you also have left to right associativity, right? So big int is not u8, but this is true, and this is also true. So how would I say different? Or have this be false, and then have another way to say, is it convertible? So is big int from? But that's not good, because like maybe I have no, actually that's not good at all. I got ping. Yeah, so this is an issue. Like, what does it mean? Like, require x is big int. Really, it's requiring that big int x is. Or like, require big int x. So, first of all, I guess I should probably specify this. I can do this, but I cannot do this. To convert from a string, we have to use from. What's the difference? The difference is that one is implicitly convertible and one is not. For implicit conversions, you can use the constructor directly. for ones that want to be more explicit, well, for ones that have to be explicit, because like you also do x of type U32 equals 3U8. Like this is also fine, but you cannot do this no matter what. It has to be explicit. So then explicit ones must use this form, which is the from method. And that's what I'm thinking of. Because then it allows you to have implicit conversions while also having explicit ones, right? Which I feel like is fine. Is how you can have like, rather than having to do like string from hello, you can just do string hello. And that's fine because a const char, or no, not, well, this is a size string, so it's not terminated, but my point is it is implicitly convertible to a string object, where a string is, I guess, heap allocated, I'm not actually sure. Well, I guess it would depend on the length of the string. Whatever the case, this language's string would allow implicit conversion. And implicit conversion is more just in like a, is there like an obvious mapping, let's say? So the difference is you are allowed to do an implicit conversion if and only if every possible value maps perfectly to the new value. So the reason that you can't have this is because what if suddenly I do this, right? Or do lowercase 3D. Suddenly I don't have a clear conversion, right? I don't know whether to, like this just straight up is just an error. So it can't allow implicit conversions. But for U8 to U32, there is no U8 value, right, such that this fails. It's completely fine. And therefore there's no reason to not allow it to be implicit. Because this cannot fail, so this assignment here is always valid. So that's completely fine. This is not. That's a difference. So likewise, a string, right, a string from whatever the literals are called, a string literal, this is also fine because everything maps perfectly. Even with null, like with C strings, right, null terminated strings, let's say, this would be unnecessary for the record, but let's just put it there for in this case for explicit, for the sake of example, right? A C string would also be implicitly convertible because there is a very clearly defined way to convert the string to this. That's fine. You could argue though that you lose information, but that's not true because like for a C string, if you have anything after the null terminator, that's kind of your fault. Like the C string by all means ends here, you know. So like anything after this doesn't matter, which means it can also be converted back to a thing, right? So then if I want to do a C string from well, my X string, then this would work, right? So in that case, it is only the formal definition is that it is only implicitly convertible if and only if every value maps perfectly from A to B, which also implies that every value maps perfectly from B to A, right? Like that's kind of I think that like the first statement necessitates the second. I think that's true. If not, then add the second part as an additional rule, but I believe it's implied, so you don't have to say that. So that here, when we say require big int, when the is keyword will simply check, well, it will include, can I map perfectly from this to this, right? So then the issue is, how do I check strict type equality? Like, what if I specifically need to know if X is a U32? Not a U8, not a U16, specifically a U32. I could have is strictly, right? I could have, I don't know, I could have the hashtag here, is hashtag U32, and then what this says is it is of the type U32, as opposed to it is a possible U32, but like I don't like that either, you know? Interesting. So like if I have a 3U8, Should this be true or false? I mean, strictly works, right? Is strictly looks pretty well. Good stuff like it is exclamation mark, and then have exclamation mark means strict in this language. Because I was just thinking about having an if exclamation mark, where if is exclamation mark is used for exhaustiveness, and without it is not, right? So you could also have is being a strict check. So then this is false, but this is true. It's like if in English, every time someone asks you like, "Are you okay?" and instead of saying yes or no, like you have to say, "I'm okay," "I'm not okay." It's like, okay, just say yes or no. Like it's a thing. So it applies. They're natural, but I don't like them because you have to create separate types. To wrapping existing types in another code, just so that we can avoid named arguments. Like, let's say you have let age equal age 5, like, I don't know, 20, and then let year equal year 2006, and then print line year minus age. Yeah, anyway, so I like having the exclamation mark means strict. I think that works quite well. Let me just think what other keywords it can be used for. Now, first of all, I don't have an as keyword. For casting, because as, like, if I have a 3UD8 as a U32, this casts a U8 to U32. I prefer to just do this. Because why the fuck not? Also, I don't think I actually would do anything here anyway. As a U32, strictly. It's like, what? What do you mean? As has things in pattern matching though, right? Like, I can say if match. Okay, like, let's say I'm matching on foo is x as a U32. I believe that's the use case for C++. We're saying x, and then are we casting it to U32? I think it's casting it to U32 or checking if it's U32. I assume it's casting it, but it's like why are we casting it? Like why not just use it at that point, like U32x? I don't really get that. Or if you want to check that it's a U32, you could also just put the hashtag there, right? And then it says is at U32, or alternatively you could have and x, right, is U32. That also works pretty damn fine, but it just depends on whether you want to have like this, like the C# style shorthand syntax, like is sum greater than or equal to 5, which would be syntactic sugar for this, right? Does it say equal? Right, just more. That's fine. But yeah, exclamation mark for strict. So then you have that. Other keywords, so there's if. You probably have a loop. So a loop keyword, which loops from like, I don't know, 1 to 10, let's say. Or like loop I, sorry, in 1 to 10. Also, the in keyword is also another keyword, of course I mentioned. So like, let's say you want to print I. Whatever. Hold on. Vector points are different types and are used differently from the API, which sounds nice for the forever community, but the way you realize are possibly canonizing the zeroth derivative specifically, and all other derivative and antiderivative orders end up being in Vec2. So it's less consistent than if they just made everything in Vec2. Here you put the finger on the button of one of the problems of branded types. I feel like it's the most obvious problem, besides being, again, annoying to write. Some would say you would have to be able to do arithmetic only on other instances of the same type. But you can have a strict type. A strict type that kind of convert to anything. That too, actually, is just another annoying issue. Yeah, I'm not sure what this is saying, like, what the point of this is, but that's like branded types, man. It's just annoying. Like, a number is a number. A number is a number. And it can represent different things. Because of my age, guess what? If it's my age, I'll put it in a variable called age. If it's a year, I'll put it in a variable called year. So, like, why is it? Why do we need to brand them? I don't understand. And maybe like I have age 1 and age 2, you know? But like in the variable name, you're still gonna call it. You're still gonna call it age 1 and age 2. So I just don't get it. I just don't get it. Or maybe like Kojo's age and Amelia's age, right, as variable names. Again, those are not going to change. Like, it's still of type age. Like, whether it's a type age or whatever, the variable name doesn't change. So then what do you really benefit from it then? If the variable name is the same, and variable names can just represent it anyway, then why do we need the types? So then the only answer I can think of is named arguments. But then just have named arguments. There is a benefit actually to using enums instead of booleans, which is that you can add to the enum. But like, I can't think of a situation where that's the case, really. Like, to go from yes or no to like another, like, sometimes, possibly, I don't know, like to have like another state. Like, at that point, I don't know. Because like you want to break your API, right? But there is a solution to that, which is having implicit enum names. So let's say I have true and false, right? And for the record, I want to have booleans as I want booleans to be an enum. I want bool to be an enum that has bool true and bool false, right? But in my language, if the type is known, then you don't need to prefix the enum. So if I already know I'm dealing with a boolean, then I can just do true and omit the thing, which means in my function arguments, the same thing applies. If I change my function argument from type bool to type maybe bool, for some reason, then I can have true, false, and then let's say I want to add a new thing called maybe, right? I can add that, and my function calls, right, that use the maybe bool type won't change. I do not need to do like maybe bool, oh no, now I need to change it from true to maybe. Like, no, like true and maybe and all that would just work. I wonder if someone will bring up that point, but there is a solution to that, which is better. Yeah, C++ has like a standard size offset or something, like pointer offset thing, which is quite annoying. I mean, size T only exists anyway because it varies across implementations. That's why you use size T. Yeah, that's actually it really. Like, it is your pointer size. So really, you should only use usize for pointers, but you can use it for other things, and people tend to do it idiomatically for like loops and stuff. But like, if you know your loop's not going to exceed like 10 members, probably you shouldn't make it a usize. But yeah, that is actually, to be fair, an interesting point. Like with this loop here, my 1 in 10, like, do I implicitly make this as small as possible? Because I is not known here, right? Or do I have to give it an explicit size? So 1 to 10, which is actually from 1 to 9, by the way. So from 0 to 10 of size, let's say U8, right? Or do I just implicitly make it as small as possible? You know what? For ranges specifically, I think it's okay to have them be implicitly sized. And like automatically sized. Just because, yeah. Because like you can define a type, like type you, like type my whatever, right? That takes an x and then has a requirement that x is in 0 to 10. And x must be an integer, right? Sorry. So this says that whatever x is, it must be between 0 to 10. And then basically having this is what makes it, like, is when you activate small. I know it's weird, but I think that makes sense. Because then you don't have to put the type here. And then if I have a type error, like let's say I have do something, but this requires a U32. No, this requires, it can't be, yeah, I mean, if it's a U32, then I will just simply cast upwards implicitly, that's also fine. But let's say it's like a bit, or like let's say it's 2 bits, right? So then there's like an upper limit of 3. Then this would be a type error because the type of I, which has been automatically deduced by the range, is too big, right? For this. That works. Now you might ask, but what if I have a, that's annoying. What if I have, that's actually really annoying. Can I, yeah, I gotta think of a range syntax that actually works well. Let's just have it for that for now. So like, let's say I have a variable foo, right? For a variable foo, which is known at runtime, I cannot deduce the size of I. But I can, because foo has to be size, right? Foo has to have a size, no matter what. Like, foo is going to be something, right? And then it's a U32. I mean, in this case it's 5, but like, let's say it's unknown, right? And all I know is that it's a U32, get runtime size. I mean, first of all, even this will return a size. But like here, yeah, so then this is just an I32. That's fine. Anyway, what I was actually going to get at, though, was not this. It was having, again, so loop, first of all, is there any such thing? What am I pressing? That takes me here. I'm actually tweaking. Where's the loop? Here. If I have, is there any difference between loop and loop exclamation mark? That's my first question. Like, is there a difference between a weak loop and a strong loop? Loop 0 to 10, loop 0 to 10. I don't know. You could say to do like loop at least once, but that doesn't make sense because it's not a for loop. It's a range based loop. Ooh. So that doesn't make sense. Loop. You could specify that the order matters. But the compiler can already deduce that. Based on side effects, right? Like, if I have a side effect, like print line, because if there's a side effect, automatically the order matters, right? I'm trying to think. So, like, to explain what I mean, In normal loops, if the order doesn't matter and the compiler can figure that out, then it'll probably reverse the loop to count downwards instead of upwards, which is just for optimization's sake, right? But in this case, it's saying to loop. I'm trying to think, is there any instance where the order, where like you aren't doing side effects but the order still matters? So like you're not printing anything, you're not like, yeah, like you're not printing anything, you're not mutating any state, so order doesn't matter. I don't know. And like you can't just have this be like default, like do whatever you want, because then this will be out of order and it will print backwards when you expect it to print forwards, which is annoying, right? And even with mutation, like if I just have this, a plus equals 3, right? Like here the order doesn't matter anyway. But again, like the compiler can probably deduce that, so I don't know. For loop, exclamation mark, I don't think so. For in, exclamation mark. That is interesting. Loop I is in 0 to 10. So that's is in. This is different. This is in. In fact, this is just for type equality. How about like 3U8 is 5? I mean, also is 3. Like this is true. And this is true. But like, what's it even comparing at this point? Like, is this false? Because 3's type is unknown? I guess so. So I guess this is false. This is also false. But this is true. This is false. That's fine then. Foo is some x. If I do this, I guess same rules as here, just with destructured bindings. Or like destructured whatever. Or like some anything. I don't know. Some integer. Ooh. I don't know. And then foo is in, right? So foo is in 0 to 10. Again, if I were this strict, what does that mean? Like, I'm thinking about types, right? Probably nothing. Like this wouldn't really make sense, would it? 3 is in 0 to 10. Like this is U8. You could again say that, okay, there's a type error here because 0 to 10 is unknown and it could be U32. Okay, no, so that still works anyway. So is works in all cases. In doesn't have have a reason to be here. Like it's saying loop I in 0 to 10. That's all it's saying. If I say loop I in 0 to 10, that doesn't really do anything, so that's fine. So is and if. Any other keywords I can think of? Loop is if. I guess like declaration functions. Like var. It's a var. Var. I thought exclamation marks being used for comp time actually. So like if I have a x, right, is a U32, like 5U32. Because this can be known at compile time, you can put like an exclamation mark or something. Okay, that doesn't work actually. I guess it has to be here then. Or something like here maybe that says it's compile time, then var for compile time variable. Versus, you know, just something like comp. Like this really signifies strict. Like so far, for is for a strict type for a strict type comparison, right? For if is for exhaustive checking, which is also kind of a type thing, because like it's exhaustively checking the case. Sure. Okay, I guess that's a bit dubious. For comp time though, like what's strict about that? Nothing. So I'm gonna say no to that. Function. What? Like a strict type? I can see that, right? A strict type. No. Like type integer. Does that mean like integer is just doesn't construct anything? Possibly. Like a strict type just doesn't construct anything. It can only construct itself. But then how the hell do you have a constructor for it? That means it can only accept like literals. You can't really define that, can you? No. Anyway, so here you say x is big int, right? But then if you want to check like if it is only a big int, you would do this. But that's different, right? Yeah, so there's no real use for so exclamation mark here and here. I can't think of any of the keywords. I mean, I barely know what keywords my language even has at this point. I'll have to come back to that, but so x is big int. Yeah, just this example. Cool. What's going on here? Is this what languages do? Yeah, so anyway, is exclamation mark and if exclamation mark, and that solves my exhaustive checking issue. Ooh, one issue. No, there's no issue. Is there an issue? That means that exhaustiveness is opt-in, actually. That is an issue. So you have to opt in to exhaustiveness, which means you can forget to have your cases be exhaustive. Which is mildly problematic. Likewise, you can forget to make your type comparison strict. So do we do the opposite? Do I do the opposite where this is false, but this is true? Which one? That is interesting. Look. Explicit, what? Exhaustive by default, or not? I don't know. I'm gonna say it shouldn't be exhaustive by default. But like, you want the compiler to catch your mistakes, ideally. And like mistakes, you know, not like piss you off. I mean like actual mistakes. So if I forget to put an exclamation mark where I actually do want it to be exhaustive, I don't know. Because like, when it comes to defaults, it makes sense to have the compiler catch mistakes that you can make. I can forget to specify a match as exhaustive. I can forget to make a type check strict. In the same way, I can forget to make I kind of wanted the question mark to be usable in Boolean functions and variables. Just because I hate having to prefix stuff with like is, does. Like, it'd be easier to just put a question mark at the end and like Bob's your uncle. Just don't have non-exhaustive matches. I have considered that, but then you get ugly early returns. So if foo is sum is error, return, else that assumes I want to propagate the error. If x is 0, return. Are we seriously, like, guys, early returns are a pretty common thing. I understand now. Can I open my window now? Man, I will not miss this. Having like I like the sun and all, but like when it's just doing that thing where like it blinds your entire monitor. Really, it's my fault having my fucking monitor facing the fucking sun, but. Wow, it's not my fault. It just happens to be that my desk is situated right here, and unfortunately, it's a desk I cannot move. Otherwise, my room would look very different right now. Like the cupboard is like in a really bad position too. But alas, that is student accommodation for you. They just deleted something. Shit, why I didn't catch that? Rewind the recording. So my issue with question mark is that I don't want question mark. I want to keep it for something else, please. In this case, actually, I can do this, right? Can't I? This checks implicit, right? It's just a bit weird, but like, it's fine. Or of course, I could just use it here, but then it's like, what? Like, it's not strict then? Like, this is true? Mind you, this says like, is. Like, is, man. Like, this is false, right? Because U8 is not U32. But there's like, but if we be really lenient, like if we say it is U32, then it works. Okay, fine. I'm sold. Fuck me. Right. But then for if statements, if, which should be for non-exhaustive. So if, and only if. Chat. If, or if and only if. Am I cooking? I have another idea, actually. If, for if, and only if. So I have if x is 0. Is for is and can be implicitly converted to. Don't is. Like if and only if is only two f's because it's if. Or just if and is. But I may want exclamation mark for something else at some point. I'm not sure yet. Oh, is or. Oh, sorry, like if and only if is actually kind of dope, I can't lie. Just saying. So it'd be like if x is 0, return. It's beautiful. If. I don't know. But okay, this either way we have a way to solve these problems by adding a modifier of sorts. Probably exclamation mark because again, like is doesn't really make sense. Or like if and only if, and then like if is, like is possibly, ISP. Maybe even if and only if, and isp is possibly. Over the case, I want exhaustiveness and strict type checking as defaults. So if I do if and so if I do if x is some, so let's say shape, right, is, so then we get like circle, let's just ignore the constituents. So if it's circle, then print, I am a shape. I am a circle. Whatever. If it's a rectangle, then yeah. Also, do I enforce the white space here? Generally, you shouldn't do this because it means that if you add another case, it affects all the lines. I know that's like annoying, but like you can also just like nothing is really stopping you from doing this other than your own self preferences, I guess. Yeah. So this is exhaustive now. So then if I want to add, let's say I add a new shape, right? Then that give me an error unless I say if and only if. So shape is circle, print this. Shape is rect, do this. Or if exclamation mark. So now this is non-exhaustive. And I know if and only if sounds exhaustive, and like maybe you could spin it to make it sound exhaustive, but just keep in mind that the ... is simply a repeat thing. Like that's all it is. It's not like this isn't a pattern match list per se. It's more that I'm repeating the if statement, but the ... just makes it implicit. So this would expand to if shape is circle, then print, else if shape is rect, print. When I remove the exclamation mark, it necessitates that I must have another else. Now, the issue here is that there are, like, I have to put the exclamation mark across all the lines. So I know this is exhaustive. This requires exhaustiveness. If I do this, then I do not need to be exhaustive anymore. But to do that, I need to put it on every single line. I'm gonna kill myself, bro. In Minecraft, I'm putting my things here, right? So now this can be non-exhaustive. But if I remove even one exclamation mark, it becomes exhaustive again. So maybe I'm the problem. Maybe it shouldn't be. Maybe it should actually just expand to this. So this would expand to this, which is fine. And then if you want to remove the exclamation mark, then it would expand to this. Issue with that is that then we have two exhaustive checks, which will both fail. I need to think about this from a language design perspective. I mean, of course, just have that like this ... In this scenario, we'll insert an else. But if you add the exclamation mark, it doesn't add the else. But then it's like, am I putting it here? Or am I putting it here? You know? Maybe it should be here instead. But then I can't have a normal if statement, right? Again, like the if x is 0. Return. Like I can't do that if this is not exhaustive. Sorry, if this is exhaustive but this isn't. Because this says I need an else, this says I don't need an else. It's like, where the fuck would I put it? Here? Here? I can't put it here, because that means something else. So it has to be here. For this case, it has to be here. It's just the pattern matching expansion list where it gets a bit messy, because it's like, how does it's just a question of how does this dot 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 expand, basically, right? Now, of course, I can make it a special case, then it's fine. But I'm just saying, in general, if I want this to be usable, because I can also have it like here. I can have a require. Like see this, right? Let's say instead of big int, I wanted to say is dot 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 u32 or u64, right? Or u28. What the fuck? Or like i64. That also expands fine. And this just doesn't really do anything. Like this literally just expands to require x to 32 or x is 64. Like in this case, it's putting an or, right? Is there a more elegant solution to the dot 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 syntax? Like something like x is in this as like a list. It's like s is basically a one of. But then like what if I want to say and? Like x is 0, like x is greater than dot 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 3. I mean, that's fine. But like for and, would I even use and anywhere here? I guess not, because something can't be something this and something else. Well, no, it can be. Like x is integral and x is, or sorry, x is an integer and x is even, right? Well, bad example, x is positive. Like then likewise, I probably want to have this. So then you want to have it be more flexible. You would do is integer or like this. So now it fills in this, where this expands to x is an integer or, and then x is positive number. And then for if statements, if x is integer if shape is like this, like it doesn't make sense, like circle, or like that doesn't make sense. I don't know. I really don't know how to handle this actually. So there is a question of how I do dot 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 syntax. Because like I want to allow it. It's just like a question of how. Or I use the list thing instead. So like I can have is 1, right? 1, 2, 3, or is all, and that would just be like an or and or an all, right? And that removes is in. So in is exclusively then only for loops. Or loop, sorry. So loop I in this, right? Now this becomes exclusively here, which is fine. I thought that was a weird disconnect anyway. And then for if statements, if shape is, and then what? Well then I guess then just reserve the ... specifically for this then, and only for this. Or have shape is, and then have like this, like a pipe, circle, and that like allows you to also inline it, right? If you want to. Or if you have this, then it'd just be like this. But then like there's no way to separate them. Like you need a comma, but then the comma, then you need trailing commas, and trailing commas are weird and not enforced. So to that extent, I think using these actually just makes sense instead. So if shape is, and then if it's followed by this symbol, then the parser knows that it is a list of if statements. Okay, I think this works. By the way, one of could be like one of, but then I want this to be the same name, the same size, sorry, same length, so it'd be like all of. I think is one is all is fine. It just means 2 more keywords, you know? But yeah, this works. So let's have keywords here. So fundamentals. Let's create a list of keywords. If I don't, not even fundamentals, it would just be a list of keywords. This should be probably under fundamentals. Not necessarily though. Yeah, let me just go back to that. So keywords. So first and foremost, in no particular order is. So is one, is all. Is or, is and. Maybe have is all as one word then instead. Then we have if, else. We have actually, I don't know what to do like this. Let's take a list. So we got if, sorry, is all, is one, if, else, if could have when, of course. I like if, I'm just gonna keep for now. If, else, var, comp for comp time, func, type, func, type, I don't know why I do that one of all things. Those are also reserved. And, or, XOR, or not. So I said maybe we also have like is not. But then like you kind of like is all not, right? Like you want to have that as well. So maybe not. I need to figure out the grammar for this. It's not going to be easy, I don't think. Yeah, that's the keywords. If I think of more, I'll add them. I would like loop. In. Operators. We got plus, minus, divide, times, equals. Actually, I'll say symbols instead. Hashtag for type, colon for scope, or thing for listing. Oh, pipe, operator for piping. Underscores for generic, whatever. Percent for modulo. Let me reorder these real quick. So we got percent. We got percent plus. Percent minus. Percent times. Division can wrap, yeah, if it's a less than number, like a float, whatever. The percent equals, plus equals, minus equals, times equals, divide equals, percent plus equals, percent minus equals, percent times equals, percent time divide equals. I'm missing the arrow. Brackets as well. These brackets, I have these brackets for types. I have these brackets as well. I do not use these brackets so far. And I should probably give them things as well. So assignment. Yeah, assignment / reassignment. Oh, this is different, I guess, right? Type specification. Let me make a table actually at this point. Hit ping. I did. Just lagging. Is not is some sort of coercible too? Depends on which one we're going with. Well, coercible. One is strictly type equals one is strict type comparison and the other is implicit coercion. Is checking this version. So a table operator reading and purpose. Nice. So yeah, equals is read as equals. Purpose, assignment / reassignment. Reassignment. So this is so laggy. It's actually like reassignment. Is my thing hot? Yeah, kinda. Why can't I put a space here? Oh, because it does that. Well, please don't do that then. Thank you. Hashtag read as. So foo of type. Yep, type specification, as I just said. Hashtag equals. Equals with inferred type. Yeah, assignment with type inference. But only for assignment. Arrow here, returns. Return type specification. Colon. I didn't even read this really. Start. Purpose, start of block. Pipe, read as. List item. Case, let's say. Listing of if. Yeah, like a switch, right? Pipe. Save that. Pipe into. So 5 plus 3, pipe into, piped into. Yeah, just purpose piping. If you know, you know. Underscore wildcard. So it reads as anything, right? You'd think, can I use it for type inference too? Maybe. I don't know if I want to allow this to not have named fields. Like how Rust lets you do it if you want to discard the return type. I'd rather have it like a discard keyword instead. I don't know if I want to have this. This is more used. First of all, it's used for targeting and piping. So pipe target. Second of all, it can be used for pattern matching if you don't care about what's inside. Maybe I use at for piping. Instead. So then it would look like this. I don't know, bro. Foo. I don't know, like let's do a 5, 6. Okay, then I mistyped it, and then we just like power, and then like instead of having whatever, let's say we have that to the power of 2. So this is how I was doing it before. But instead I could just have the at symbol to say put it here, like a target. Maybe. So this is a wild card. Some unnamed identifier. Purpose. Yeah. Purpose match. Well, purpose is just disregard necessary binding. Okay, and then at can be used for target. So target for piping, potentially. These brackets are for runtime function. Runtime args slash parameters, params. These brackets Oh yeah, so this is parens. This is brackets. For comp time arg / params. And this is braces for grouping sub expressions. Controversial, but what the fuck? Why is there a third column? It's annoying, I have to remove it myself. And plus it's for addition, minus for subtraction, times, wait, lag spike, times, right? Multiplication, RIP other languages, by the way. Divide, did by, division, modulo. Now this would be true modulo as opposed to remainder. So modulo, true modulo. Plus plus, concatenation, sorry, this be here, right? Join with, yeah. Now, do I even use plus plus for this, or do I use a different operator? I feel like plus plus is so like normal. There was another one. I swear there was another one. What it could returns. What are some operators that different languages use for concatenation? I'm aware of plus plus and this. Plus implicitly dot for PHP, dot for Lua, and and. That's the one I was thinking of, I think. Plus plus Haskell, semigroup. What the fuck? OCaml has that for strings. OCaml. Okay. Tilde. Or plus plus. Concatenation isn't commutative. Is anything commutative? And you can use this as well. Huh? Rust overloads plus. It's weird. Why would Rust do that? That actually seems like a really weird decision, considering it wants to get rid of fucking implicit other overloads. Like, that's just weird, because that's not even correct. Anyway, so plus plus is appealing, and is also appealing. Maybe and is the way to go. So if I did and, it would look like hello world. Yeah, no, yeah, that's great. I like and. Give me and. Or for other cases, 1, 2, and 3, 4. And that joins them. Let's go with and. Which is not read as and, but whatever. Then we have these ones, which I guess I have to list out, right? Modulo plus is a wrapping plus, so wrapped addition. Honestly, just copy paste this stuff at this point. And then the other variant, so plus equals, plus equals, for plus equals. What do you call this? Addition, mutation? Mutating addition? Actually, just copy paste this again, really. For all of them, it's plus minus, plus times, plus divided by, plus modulo, plus join with. Sorry, no, it's equals. Minus equals, times equals, divided by equals, modulo equals, join with equals. Or join equals. I guess just join is easier, isn't it? And divide. Divide equals, modulo equals, join equals. Wrapping divide. So mutating addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. Mutating true modulo, yeah. Mutating concatenation. And then these ones. So delete all these then. Oops. And this is, yeah, wrapping plus equals, minus plus equals, times plus equals, divide, what? Divide equals, sorry. And that would be mutating, wrapped addition, yeah. There you go, those are all of the operators. Why the fuck is there another thing? I'm sorry? Case? Huh? How is that pipe being treated as a thing? It's literally in a code block. I have to escape it. But I can't escape it because it's in a code block. Okay, that is a really goofy rendering error. It's also being errored here? Are you serious? Nah, bro. What the fuck? And it only works if I escape it. I can't like do anything else. Yo, fucking Obsidian Markdown needs to lock in. That is ridiculous. But okay. I have this. I mean, I can remove the code block. But then we just get this. It's kind of ugly. Whatever, it's the best I can do. Right, so those are all the symbols, and then you have the keywords. But notice how every symbol has one purpose. The only dubious ones is this one, although I think this one, if I limit it correctly, it would be correct, because now I have the target as well for piping. And equals for assignment and reassignment. But think of assignment more as hashtag something equals, like that's the pattern. So for me, that's fine. And then everything else has one purpose, right? Exclamation mark as well, I guess. Yeah. I didn't know where to put that. I'll just put it at the end, I guess. Oh, I also got like greater than. Forgot about this. So I got greater than. So greater than. Greater than comparison. What? Greater than. Less than. Greater or equals to, greater or equals, or equal to. Less or equal to. This is so verbose, by the way. Like, does English not have like a better way to type that to say that? Why is it doing that, bro? What the fuck? Why are there like 50,000 tabs? Stop. Tab. Okay. Oh shit. Yeah. Let's say for the comparison symbols, right? You have is more than, less than, greater than, less than, equal to. Sorry, or greater than, equal to. I think that's all the symbols you have. Others would be like. Oh, you still have dot. I'm gonna come back to dot syntax. So I won't add that just yet. But sorry, is that all the comparison operators? It is, right? I'm not tripping here. So then there's exclamation mark, which means you know what's funny? I don't even need the exclamation mark for if anymore. When do I do? Yeah, I totally do. I don't know what I'm saying. Or do I? Because the dot 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 syntax is only for the if statements. Okay, so then I probably do, but I don't know if it would be if exclamation mark, or in this case, I might actually be able to do dot 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 exclamation mark. I don't know though. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I'll think about it. But this generally means strict type equal. No, it means loose type equality. So coercion. No, you know what? No, it's not even an operator. It's a keyword, if anything. Thing is, I need to have like is all. I'm just gonna come back to is. I'm gonna leave that for now because it's just generally not like generally confusing. Load. By the way, I still don't understand how non-exhaustive enums by default would fix this. I don't want exhaustiveness. I don't understand what this person is saying. I don't understand how non-exhaustive enums by default would fix this. Fix what? That? But like... What? Why would they fix that? Always ask for clarification. How can I ask it in a way that won't be annoying? How non-exhaustive enums by default would fix this? Yeah, I don't understand. How would that example benefit from non-exhaustiveness? You just don't need the else. Sorry, you opt out of exhaustiveness. Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty simple. If foo is 0, return. Yeah. Let me think why you would need exhaustive pattern matching. You want exhaustive pattern matching
Because otherwise, you get a case where silently nothing happens. And it only really applies to
enums, right? Because other types, like integers, strings, like they won't randomly be expanded because they're built into the language. Enums are a user-defined type. Rather, some types are a user-defined type that can be added to. So it's like future-proofing. For product types, you can also add stuff, but that kind of always breaks anyway, interestingly. It's only some types. Yeah, so for some types, and by some I mean SUM, not SOME, like the co-product. Some people have also recommended making the exhaustiveness a trait of the enum itself, but I think that is silly. Because why? What? Like, because then you can't choose when to opt out. That's annoying. Like sometimes I don't care if it is a something else that isn't a circle. When do I not want pattern matching to be exhaustive? Because there is a solution here where pattern matching is exhaustive. Always. So then you opt out with the base case. Except if is also being used, also supports pattern matching in this case. I have another idea though. So I could have if x is, if foo is, okay, let's say if shape is circle print I am a circle. Rectangle I am a rectangle. Where this is exhaustive, where the exhaustiveness is tied to the ... not the if itself. Therefore, any listed pattern match is exhaustive, and you simply opt out with who am I, like you would expect in any other language. Or you opt out by not using ... If shape is circle, then print I'm a circle. Else, if shape is rectangle, print I'm a rectangle. Pretty straightforward. So, why the fuck did it take me so long to arrive to this fucking solution? Jesus Christ, right. So, apologies for my French. So, done. Glizzy overdrive. So, let's go with this now. Yeah, so let's have conditional statements. And let me just write whatever I just did here. I think I can finally make my blog post. Fucking hell. So, conditional statements. We're using Python syntax now. No, we're using Lua syntax. Any comments? Right, so we'll have if. So, okay, so let's have a robust example. So we're going to have a type, shape. What? No, shape. Yeah, sorry, shape of type is type. Interesting, actually. How do I separate some types from product types? Like, do I treat them separately, like have like an enum, or do I just call them type and have a listing of sorts? Like, do I do this? Maybe. Fucking maybe. So then I have circle with type I'm just gonna start with like the whatever makes sense to me, and then make it ergonomic later. So type, yeah, with the arguments, I don't know, bro, radius. Which is a F32. That's fine. There are no, yeah, this type has no members. I mean, has no special things. It's literally just that, right? It's inline. So you can do this rectangle. Side. This doesn't really work. No, it does work. It does work. So, okay, so before that, let me go up here. See how this is functions? Not anymore. This will be require. So it require this function. It require a function called add, and require is public. I definitely need to work on the syntax. But yeah, and then if you want to have functions, you implement them via like impl. I want that to happen instead. So you have an interface and then you have to impl it. That is what I'm doing now. Why? Because it means that then this works. And I can just have requires at the end, right? So require that, well, nothing in this case. Actually, no, require a public, I don't know if I would enforce visibility at this stage, but let's see my am. Calculate, well, get area. So a public get area, which is of type function from nothing to F32. Let's see we have this, right? And then type, okay, let's use, okay, so we have rectangle width, height, right? Yeah, so width, fucking hell, can't type, and height. And square with length. So this would be equivalent to doing this, where I say circle. Well, it wouldn't because it's shape. Circle, fucking hell, shape circle. But if you wanted circle to be a public and whatnot, you could do circle equals type radius F32. Notice how this is the same, right? And then I can have shape be a type, but then it just has circle. But Kojo, this is horrifically unergonomic. How do I, like, do I need this or can I just do this? Surely like this, right? But then this isn't. Yeah, no, you can't do this because that doesn't make sense because then you can't really access circle because it's external. Instead, it'd have to be like this, if anything. With a name, preferably. So forget that. But then, so this is how it would look without numbers, right? So square, rectangle, instead, and you can put it on one line if you want to. So this is how the types work. And then these are your types here. Yeah. And the require can only go here. Otherwise it works the same as other type definitions. Obviously I need to like flesh this out, but for now, I'm supposed to do that, right? Anyway. So then I create a shape of type shape equals get shape, whatever. And then I'm going to do if shape is ... if shape is boop, and then here I have this, right? So now we're comparing against a sum type. So if shape is circle, then print. Also, do I enforce indentation here or not? Because if I don't have to, but I kind of want to. Print I am a circle. Square, sorry, bug it out for a second. Print I am a square. Rectangle. I am a rectangle. Shout out if you know what I'm referencing. By the way, I am a shape. And then yeah, so this to leave my shit there for a second. So this is completely, so this is exhaustive, and it no compile error because all the types are here. But now, if I add a new shape, if I add a triangle, suddenly this compile errors, and the only way to avoid it is to opt out explicitly with this. Now note, in this scenario, and putting an else here does not save you. You cannot have an else. Okay, the else does not save you. And that is intentional because I don't want to have two ways of doing things. You cannot put else after an if thing with ... You cannot do that. Which may seem a bit strange, but I'm sticking with it. So now, Kojo, now what? Well, now, how about if x is 0, yeah, that should work the same, really. So we have x, which is a u32. Yeah, so I get num, whatever. So then x is 0. Print dead. You suck. If it is greater, I should be reversed in this case. If is greater than 100, then I'm gonna print incredible. If it is greater than 50, print not bad. So here's an example with non thingies. What am I? Lua does a surprisingly good job here. I'll lend you a file. If.lua. More robust. More detailed example. I don't know how this works with non-expression results. Like if I just want to match and print but still have it be exhaustive. Self-documenting code only documents what you are doing and not why. If I see a particularly Jargony flag in a code, I'd rather know its workaround for a bug in a library or the server and what the bug is. Yeah, I mean, it's true. Python seems to indicate it's not a big issue if this is for both. I don't even know if it's for both. Ooh, that's cool. That's actually quite cool for dictionaries. What's an example? I am able. I am able. Hello, goodbye. I'm working overtime. I'm working overtime. I'm working overtime. These do mean different things, by the way. The first one means I'm working overtime. So like I'm working like over the time I was supposed to be working, like at a job. But if you say I'm working overtime, which also sounds different, by the way, you're saying that you are completing work over a duration of time. Not like overtime, but just like over a period of time. Is it good or bad? I think it's good. I mean, I think that there's nothing wrong with English being like that. It's not really ambiguous. Where it does become a problem is when you have different inflections, like produce and produce, or construct and construct. Those are spelled the exact same. I think English should probably have accents. Well, okay, it should have accents, 100%, because we have so many pronunciation issues. But this is not a bad feature of English. I mean, it's not really a feature. It's more just like an unintentional thing where some words are combined to have different meanings. Holy linguistics. Little closes soon. What am I gonna have for dinner? I think I'm gonna make bolognese. I think I just might. Thing is though, my dad said I should use a pot, and I agree. So I think what I want to do is, okay. First of all, let me just finish this video real quick. I'm gonna come back to this later this evening. But I think I've sorted out a few things. So to reflect on what we've done so far, me and you, I have replace the at with hashtag, which I think just looks a lot better. I haven't even really thought about it. Like after doing it, it just feels really natural. So I'm happy with that. At now has a different use, right? It's not used for piping. I also decided that. I figured out I can have is and is exclamation mark, where is exclamation mark is strict. However, I started to figure out having is all and is one, and like that kind of stuff. So there's more I need to figure out with is, but generally, I'm happy with it. And therefore, I've also figured out having the implicit things, like how the implicits work, implicit coercion / conversion. I have figured out. Oh yeah, I want to elaborate on these. Actually, that should be the first thing I do when I get back, which is elaborate on these. So I have both my priorities and my anti-priorities. I want to have those listed out properly. I have gone over the symbols, which again has helped me with identifying this symbol, the target symbol. I've asserted that I want these, right, the wrapping things. I've decided on a concatenation symbol, which is the and symbol, since it's not being used for anything else right now. If I use and for something else later, then I will replace it with ++, but until then, I will try to keep it. I've decided on if statements finally. So now this is exhaustive always. It's may or may not use ... I'm not sure yet, because I also want to use ... for other things, like potentially variadic arguments. But you can also argue that you can just have arrays for variadic arguments. You don't really need it. But regardless, that is how I'm doing this for now. And then for non-exhaustive, you have to opt out like this, or just use a normal if statement rather than using this special syntax, right? And then I've also kind of figured out how I might go about doing some types, assuming I do not use a special enum keyword. So that I'll also elaborate on later. But yeah, good progress. I feel good, because yesterday I spent like 7 hours or something, or maybe the day before, like just like trying to figure out what to do, and I couldn't really make any progress. But now I feel like I'm finally getting past this stage, because like this, like the type system is by far the hardest thing in designing a programming language, I think, because it relates to everything, for errors, for conversions, for it pattern matching and if statements, and like everything revolves around the type system and defining custom types and user defined types, because like a language without user defined types is just really primitive, and like it is Turing complete, but it's just really annoying, like really annoying. So like the type system is the heart of abstraction, and that is what I want to get right. So yep, we'll see how long this takes, but I'm feeling quite happy now. I can't wait to think of something that's gonna like ruin everything, but for now it seems okay. Foo is different from foo. Yeah, I don't like functional application being like this though. Holy voice crack. Unless you have an immutable language. Not if you're in the come on like camp. Okay. Yeah. So yeah. Cool. Yeah, cool. So anyway, so I want to make bolognese. Now I have a wok and I have a pan, a pot, and I've been using my wok to make bolognese for a long time now. But my dad came over to the UK recently. I mean, my family did, and my dad insisted I use a pot, because if you have a pot, you can cover it and then let your bolognese simmer. And I realize now it's probably a bit too late for that. It's like already almost midnight. I mean, it'll be midnight soon, in like 2-3 hours. Less than 3 hours, so I really should have started simmering it like a while ago, but whatever. I can wait a bit. And Yeah, so the simmering just adds flavor, basically. So I'm going to try that. So what I'll probably do is I'll cook the onions, mince, and veggies in my wok. And then once I finish with that, before I add the tomato sauce, like the canned tomatoes, I will transfer it into my pot. But the pot needs to be hot, right? Yeah. And then I will cover the lid, and that's it. So let me actually just ask Claude as well for some advice here. My dad said it's good to have bolognese simmer on a low heat. So I want, but I've been cooking it completely in my open wok for a while now. I still want to cook the non-saucy stuff in a wok, i.e. the mushrooms, onions, mince, and vegetables, added one at a time in that order. But then later, but then transfer them into a pot, into a lidded pot afterwards, which is when I add the canned tomatoes and puree. First of all, is this feasible? Second of all, do I need to be careful about how I transfer to the pot? Because like the pot needs to be hot, right? But like I don't want it to be too hot to the point that it just burns everything. Wok for browning, yeah. Then pot with lid for low simmer once tomatoes go in. So let the pot preheat a bit on low so the mince doesn't stop cooking. Drain excess fat from the wok first if there's a lot, or the sauce goes greasy. Ooh, interesting. Do I not want the fat? Deglaze the wok with a splash of wine or stock before transferring. Deglaze. The fuck does that mean? Scrape up the fond, stuck to the wok. Okay, no, mine's on stick. That's flavor you don't want to leave behind. Pour that into the pot too. Watch for hot oil spitting in when you tip solids into the pots. Okay. Okay, so how low do I preheat it exactly? What's wrong with the sauce going greasy? I do like fat for what it's worth. What is deglazing? My wok is non-stick, so I doubt anything would get stuck to it. So low, medium. Okay. Greasy sauce, nothing wrong, preference thing. Can make the sauce feel heavy, oilier than rich, and can separate out as an oil layer on top. If you like the fat, keep it, no issue. Deglazing and a liquid to a hot pan to lift off the brown bits, stuck to the bottom, with kill out flavor. On non-stick, you're right, there won't be much food since non-stick is designed to prevent sticking. Deglazing it isn't really necessary for you here. That's it with more for stainless carbon steel. Okay. Mine is carbon steel though. It just doesn't stick. It's weird. Oh yeah, for wine also, my dad said to add wine. My dad also said to add wine in general, but I've been using balsamic vinegar. And I don't really want to buy wine at this stage. Also, when he made it, it did taste like noticeably like wine, and I'm not a fan of wine taste. Balsamic vinegar is sweeter and more concentrated. A little goes a long way, good for acidity and a touch of sweetness. Yeah, so I'll just try both balsamic. I mean, for me, I really taste balsamic anyway, for some reason. Not sure why. I don't think it evaporates. Like, I do like put it in with the mushrooms and the mints, but I don't know. Anyway, cooking 101. So, yep, I'm gonna go make bolognese. Eat your heart out, literally. Okay. So yeah, and then after that, assuming I am still alive after I cook, I will come back to this. So just to think, so with the language spec, like I can't make a spec. I just need to finish. I mean, after the type system is decided, there's the error handling, but that will tie into the type system anyway. So that's kind of it. Syntax, I'm deciding as I go. I guess it's just like the standard library, right? The type system and the standard library and the syntax. I guess that's like kind of all a language is these days. I say these days, like I guess it kind of always has been, right? The type system is the language, kind of, because like the type system kind of is the grammar, just without the specific syntax, right? I think so. Is there anything else? Like for a spec? Module system? Oh yeah, that's right, the module system as well. That will be interesting to figure out. Because I'm inclined to have like one... Yeah, yeah, modules are interesting because I don't like modules. I don't like how they namespace things. I think it makes more sense to just have types that contain things, and then those are your namespaces. Like that feels like that's like the, cause like otherwise you kind of feel like a redundant way of namespacing. I don't like that. Because then, like, what's the difference? Like, what's the difference between a C++ enum class, right, and just having it in a namespaced enum? Like, to my knowledge, the only difference is that you can have other things in the same namespace, which is just, you know, a reason not to use the namespace and instead use the enum class. So then why have namespaces at all? Like, you have namespace std, right, for the standard, but then what if the standard was just a struct that contained a bunch of functions and types and... Right? Like, modules also have encapsulation with public and private. Like, it just feels a bit redundant. Like, I know it doesn't feel intuitive to say the standard is a type, and I'm accessing the type standard to get this, right? But I don't know. I'll think about that. But yeah, that will be that could integrate as well into the type system. So I do need to think about that quite deeply. But yeah, otherwise I can't really think of what else I would be doing. Anonymous functions might need more look at, which are, well, just functions in general might need more look at, and variables and like getters and setters I said I'd also talk about more, and properties. So yeah, I mean there's obviously a lot of work to be done, but we will make progress, and it's been fun, so I'm happy.